Welcome to the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy. The SportsBros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Well, from the looks of it, looks like we're experiencing a Midwestern heat wave. Some of the snow is melting, not all of it. And with that being said, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time once again for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. As always, thank you for liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, sharing, hit the bell, the notification button, subscribe, hit the thumb, all the stuff they ask you to do on your other podcasts. Do the same for us. All right. Please do the same for us. And with that being said, this is another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And of course, I can't do this by myself. I've tried. It's not as fun. I swear it's not as fun whatsoever. With that being said, introducing first, all the way from Fayetteville, North Carolina, he is the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Besides, do we even call this bipolar weather? Because for it to be bipolar, it would be bi, meaning the bi being the prefix that means two. I feel like this weather does whatever it wants to at this point in time. Multiple personalities, but it is what it is. I think we talk about the weather during the season every time, but we've got a little heat outside. I ain't mad at it at all. I mean, I would hope and wish that the cold days are behind us, but Puckstonian Phil says otherwise, and who knows at this point in time. Yeah, and then sports, or lack thereof. Let's go ahead and introduce the other guy. We'll figure out something out.
Yeah, we're going to piece together this show real quick. And the other guy, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. And I'll say this one more time. It's been a while. He is the meanest, the toughest, the roughest, the thuggish, ruggish lunch personnel this side of the Mississippi River. He is the one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello, hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello. I'm going to say goodbye later to some people, but I want to say hello. Yes, the lunch lady is back, and say hello to you, B-Live, my adorable friend, and to you, my brother, Eddy Cool. And I'm going to tell you, the only thing I want from you, Eddy, is your soul. I want your soul.
Oh, God bless America.
I want you to be my MC.
Who writes these things? Who writes these things?
If you smell what the Scott is cooking.
What the hell was that all about Friday night?
That was, I know we're a sports show, but just for a moment, indulge us to say, we watched The Rock on Friday night tell Cody Rhodes he wants his soul. And I thought it was the dumbest thing. I get embarrassed sometimes with things I see on WWE. That was embarrassing Friday night. That was just awful. I'll just say that.
The male soap opera. We're all 40 plus gentlemen. We still watch wrestling. We don't care what you think. But that was
that was rough. That was rough.
Oh boy. All right.
They better make it better. It's WrestleMania season. Anyway, I throw that in there because, yeah, we are it was a weekend of somewhat of a sports drought here. I mean, football season's over. The NBA is trying to get us motivated. Man, and props once again. I know it wasn't over the weekend. It was Thursday night was the final of the four nations tournament. And Canada got us on this one. But, man, it was still – it was a great event. That was, congrats to them. I actually thought they were going to win that game, and it ended up going into overtime. It was exciting, man. It was cool. I hate that we came out on the wrong end of it, but it was a cool event, the whole thing. So, yeah, that was. I still enjoyed that. I enjoyed the event. I didn't enjoy the very last shot of the tournament, but I enjoyed that that watching the U.S. and Canada playing like they meant it, playing for something they wanted to win.
For our hockey enthusiasts out there, and for USA Hockey and all points in between and anything like that, anybody that watches hockey or any sport for that matter, where you have one of the best players in the game, you track that person. You find that person.
Yeah.
At all times. Whether it's baseball and he's batting cleanup. You know that, okay, if second and third, you might want to walk him and get to the next person. You always have a plan for the best player pretty much on the planet.
You know where Justin Jefferson's lining up. You know where he's at.
Yes. You know where SGA is at. Just give it to him. You know where LeBron James is at on the court. Connor McDavid is that dude.
Yeah.
You don't let him stand 15 feet in front of the goal by himself.
All alone in the slot somehow, and he made us pay.
Just chilling. But and that's how you lose. That's how you lose. Anything. That's how you lose.
Hey, the greats make it happen though. And that guy's right now he's the greatest. And I gotta say I was still happy for Sidney Crosby, even though he's Canadian, he's a Pittsburgher, throughout most of his career, he's a Pittsburgh guy. So good for him for that. So yeah, it was cool. It was a good event. Eddy, cool. Take us to the top of the order. Let's see what else we had going on to speak of.
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and hop right into it. The top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. All right, so recently, Roger Goodell restated his desire for an 18-game schedule. He said it's inevitable and that it comes into fruition. However, NFL player executive Lloyd Howell says no one wants to play 18 games. So as fans, what do you think about one more game? Do we care? Do we don't want it? Should we be concerned about player safety? What say y'all?
Let me start by this. It's becoming more and more evident that when it comes to these commissioners of these major sports, and it's especially football, but all major sports, the commissioners do not speak for the fan. The commissioners do not speak for the players. The commissioners are picked and elected by the owners of the franchises. They speak for the owners. They speak for the multi-billionaires. And becomes more and more evidently so when Roger Goodell wants an 18th game. You know what an 18th game means? Same thing as a 17th game. More revenue for the owners. It's a little bit more revenue for the players, but it's a lot more revenue for the owners. The reason why I want to preface that is simply put, it's not good for the sport. How often do we get into the NFL season, now as it stands at 17 games, with a truncated preseason and the first game out the gate, after you've seen the ones not play together because the starting quarterback hardly ever plays during the preseason. It's just a dash for the players to make the final roster cut. That's about all the preseason games are for now. Mm-hmm. And then game one, week one of the NFL season is full of god-awful, sloppy play. All it is a revenue grab, but it's literally that the first week is the fourth preseason game. Teams are trying to work out their kinks. They're trying to pull out all these amazing plays or whatever. Is it exciting for us? Somewhat. But for the fanlists that we are here, the podcast, we are fans. We've talked about it each year. The play is sloppy. Mm-hmm. It's not good for the image when players get hurt because they have to play an additional week. It's just not good. And then what you're going to end up doing, which is not going to be, you're going to end up going to an 18th week, which probably they're going to try to implement 2 buys. They're probably going to try to get rid of preseason altogether and just make.
He said they would go down to 2. He's trying to keep this same time frame, eliminate that 3rd preseason game, go down to 2 preseason, and then I guess they would probably have to start a week early. I mean, Super Bowl on President's Day weekend is what he wants, so he wants to keep that time frame kind of in there. But
I don't like it at all. Like
he's not really giving them a break off of the preseason because they're not playing anyway. The starters. It's not like, well, you don't get to play. You don't have to worry about playing this game. You play this game instead. They weren't playing that one anyway, so they're just adding another week of wear and tear on the body.
Well, they were playing. I mean, when it was 16 games, and you had 4 weeks of preseason, you at least got to see your ones play together in that fourth game. If it's
sometimes,
not,
yeah.
If it's not, but just a half, but you get something. I feel like you get more with that than as opposed to the way it is now, where sometimes you didn't see the ones at all. Like, especially case like an Aaron Rodgers type or some of these other, even some of the younger players weren't even playing. Like Bryce Young didn't. I don't think did Bryce Young play a preseason game? I don't think he did. Bryce Young, out of all people, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. He needs all the preseason, all of it. He ended up playing better throughout the end of the season, but it took him getting benched for that to happen. And this is you're cutting more preseason, which is going to turn into more players not being able to be developed the way they should be. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a recipe for disaster because they're going to keep expecting more and more from these rookie quarterbacks to come and save the franchise. And I know we're not going to go back to 16, but 18, there's no development. And I think the overall play what we see on the field is going to be affected more and more. I don't.
So did you feel like 16 is better than 17, or do you like the 17th?
No, I'm 16. I'm 16 through and through. Like, first, here's another thing that I don't like about 17. It's a simple fact that there's a part of me that wants to see players, teams, etc., chase those records that are out there and everything like that. Now, I know it used to be 14 and 12, and change is inevitable. But did we really benefit having 17 games? I just don't see the benefit. All I see is money. All I see is the money grab. I don't see anything else that benefits the game outside of the money. That's it.
Yeah, I think the longer the season goes, too, the more you're going to have teams. And I could be wrong on this, but I feel like the longer the season goes, the more teams you're going to have that don't need to win the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have meaningless football for more teams anyway, because they're going to clinch early. The teams that are terrible, we get it by week 16. We don't need to keep sending them out there to get beat up anymore. And we know who the best teams are by that week. And the middle teams, I think 16 weeks is enough to fight it out. I honestly think after 16 weeks of football, 17 weeks actually, because you have a bye, but a 16 game schedule. By the end of that 16th game, I think the fans are ready to move on to the playoffs. Like the last couple of years, I'm like, all right, we got one more week now of regular season game, and I didn't feel like I was like ready to move past that and let's start our second season. Let's start this postseason tournament. I don't need the 17th and 18th games, man. I think I think for Roger Goodell, and you said something interesting there too, Bila, when you said this, he represents the owners. I'd like to know how much the owners really want this. How much are they really, really pushing this, or this just another Goodell thing? Because Goodell seems to like to be this. He wants to be like this history-making guy who spreads this league overseas and wants to have the Super Bowl in London and do all these grand things, and he's somehow duped the owners into thinking he's this football genius because now they gave him a helicopter for life, or airplane for life, whatever, and all this stuff. Like, and I said this before, but I've gone to high school football games that Roger Goodell has nothing to do with, and the stands are packed. It's because people love football. They don't love it because of Roger Goodell, because he's somehow made it some magical product. He has nothing to do with it. He's just trying to just keep expanding, and trying to just squeeze more and more money out of this league that's making billions of dollars, and the players don't. Their players are telling you, we don't want to do this. We don't want 17. We're too beat up. We're ready to play in the playoffs. Our bodies are beat up, and now you only got one team getting a bye, so all of the playoff teams are going in beat up. You're not sitting and resting. I think you're right. You're just asking for a worse product by putting guys out on the field another week. And somebody, I forget who was this past year, that was in contention, got knocked out for the season during the 17th game. I don't remember who it was, but it's at that point you don't need it. You're more inclined to get injuries when your body's already beat up and you're not as sharp as you are throughout the season. Man, I as a fan, I'm ready for the playoffs after 16. Right around Christmas time, man. Let's wrap this sucker up. Let's get into the playoffs. And I don't know. I'm not a Goodell fan, and I just think this is another money grab for him to make more bonus and tuck away into his super fat bank account, and so he could feed his super fat face. And he doesn't really have a super fat face, but I was just angry for a second there.
I understand that. But
we get it.
Yeah,
we definitely get it. And the thing about it is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to try to look this up real quick. Goodell's salary, he makes more than the players.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see a world that type of atmosphere that Roger Goodell should make more than NFL players.
Mm-mm.
I understand business is business and deals need to be made and network deals and TV stuff like that to bring in the money, et cetera, blah, 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 yada, yada. But as violent and as physical as the NFL is, I don't think that executives should make more.
No, because he's also never experienced it. He didn't play in the NFL. He doesn't know what these guys' bodies feel like after going out there and getting beaten and battered. All he wants to do is sit in a box at a nice stadium for another week and watch another game and make more money. I hope that I do think he's right. I think it's inevitable, but I hope that the players stand up for him. And what's the guy's name? Eddy Howell, the players representative that you mentioned. I hope he really
Lloyd Howell.
I hope Lloyd Howell and these players stand their ground enough that whenever I think this current collective bargaining agreement ends in 2028 or 2030, somewhere in there, and that's when they're going to try to push the agenda to get that 18th game in. And I hope they stand their ground and say, look, we can't do it, man. We've had enough. We got broken ribs and CTE, and we still got money. We're good. Let's just play 17 and be done with it. Let's have the playoffs.
Yeah, you also have to factor in, like, they're like you all said, to put a button on this one. They shorten the preseason when preseason is needed to improve the product. What else? Instead of two teams having a bye, one team has a bye, which means after your bye week, you're playing X amount of games straight. Also, on top of that, there's no more Pro Bowl. So just imagine in a world somewhere, they add these 18 games, the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and the Pro Bowl. We're looking at what? Close to 25, 30 games in totality?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going all the way through the playoffs.
Yeah. Or if you just add in them two preseason games, so let's say about 33, 34 games. That's a lot of football being
Not
played.
33, like 23. Like you get 18 regular season games, 2 preseason, that's 20.
Yeah.
And then 4 playoff games, 24 games. That's a lot of football.
Yeah, that's a lot of football. I mean, we love football. Yes, granted, we love football, but it's, hey, just give it to us in that dose. That's 16, 17 cool, 18 kind of pushing it. How many weeks does they play football in Canada? I mean, there's like 9 teams, but
let me make this big point because we all profess that we love football. There's a reason why we love football more than we love the other sports. It's because the games mean more. One game a week, and every game means something. And you keep adding on more and more to it where the games mean less and less.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why we only watch basketball and baseball and hockey like the last 2 months of the season because we got to get through all the fluff. But you get into 18 games, yes, it's still one game a week, and yes, it's still the races, the playoff races still they're going to be tight still each weekend and week out. But the quality of the sport it's already diminished enough as is. I mean, we don't see the hits anymore. I'm glad we got a little bit of the running game back this year because that was almost a thing in the past. Because it just made more sense to pass the ball, as high fly and all this stuff. We got to see games won in the trenches, so we did get some of that back. But man, I don't know. It's one of those adjustments that I didn't like 17, but I still watch it. When it happens, it's gonna be 18. I'll still watch it. But
yeah, I mean, we're gonna watch it because they're gonna be regular season games that matter. But I mean, I don't like it. I think 16 was the number. I really do.
Yeah. That was a sweet number. It was. Now, fellas, let's go ahead and switch to the hardwood, the NBA, if you will. When it comes to NBA, a lot of scrutiny has been going on. They shoot a lot. Scottie D said, you know what? If you shoot 10% from 3, just do what, Scott? What are you telling me to do, Scott? Just keep on doing what?
Just keep putting it up. Just keep shooting.
Yeah. Who are we? Shoot the J. Who are we to crash your dreams? If you feeling hot, just keep on shooting. You'll go 1 for 15 eventually. Now let's look at these trades. Naming particularly with Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors and Luka Dončić going to the Lakers. Now, with the recent trades involving Butler and Dončić, as the NBA coincide with the NFL season, making you more interested in the NBA at a time when the ratings are down? Like, do you even do you even care? Do you give a damn? Like, oh, okay, well, he's over here to see what's going on. Like, what do you think, fellas?
Yeah, actually, strangely enough, and I've been telling you guys, I haven't been watching as much NBA the last couple of years. I've been down on it. I actually started watching a couple games the week that Luka got traded. I mean, I caught a couple games that week. Then his trade makes the Lakers vastly more intriguing, and Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors makes the Warriors completely intriguing. I think they've won 6 in a row now since he's gotten to that team, 5 in a row or 6 in a row. And I actually sat down to watch the Warriors on Sunday afternoon, and then I fell asleep for like 2 hours. So it's hard for me to answer the question one way and then back it up with proof that I actually took a Sunday nap for 2 hours. But I woke up in time to see the scrubs wrapping up the end of I shouldn't say scrubs, the bench warmers, yeah. I should say, wrapping up the end of the game. But I am more interested because I want to see how Jimmy Butler affects Golden State now that team is completely, other than Steph and Draymond, unrecognizable from the team that went to the finals all those years, 5 out of 6 years or whatever it was, 4 out of 5 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean that I didn't think he was going to make that big of an impact, but evidently he is, because right off the bat they're playing better basketball. And then the Lakers haven't won in Denver since 2022, and Luka goes in there and scores, what was it, over 30 points the other night, and the Lakers win. And LeBron kind of backed off and let Luka do his thing. That's a little bit of intriguing to me. That is something interesting to me, watching these stars on star power teams. But, if it's a run of a mill game where I'm just watching two teams jack up 43s apiece and hitting 5 of them, then that's still going to be a tough watch. But I will say that the fire has been a little bit stoked for me to be more interested at this point in the season. Anything there, Be Live? Striking a chord there?
I'm not going to sit here and lie as much as I want to. I was slightly intrigued. I really could care less about what's going on in LA because it's just
That's not true.
You say that.
That's not true.
I don't care about the Lakers.
You do though. You do.
I don't know. The thing about it is that I'm
cares.
Like it's all that I see every day. Lakers. Like why? I don't want to see the Lakers.
They got LeBron and Bronny.
Yeah, I hate it. I know more about the Lakers than I know about anything else. Even my own team, my Charlotte Hornets. But they're terrible. So I understand that. But why does OKC not get a little bit more love? They're dominating the sport.
Mm-hmm.
They're beating their opponents by almost 12 points.
So are the Cavs.
The Cavs, yeah.
Yep.
Those are the storylines that I would like to see. But it is intriguing to see how Luka does gel with the Lakers. Yes, I'm okay with that. Jimmy Butler, yes, those are storylines. And then I turn around and watch highlights from the Detroit Pistons versus Atlanta. The Detroit Pistons are actually doing better, a lot better this year.
What?
They're 5 games over 500. Detroit basketball. But then you see the final score. Detroit beats the Hawks 148-143. Where in the entire hell is the defense? God, the product is god awful. It's literally watching highlights of that game. Nobody's playing defense. I mean, like they're not playing defense at all. And the defense that does happen, all the guy does is take 2 steps back and now shooting logo 3. I don't. It's painful. And
here's an interesting fact. I'm sorry, but just an interesting fact to add to you, Be Live. Did you know that Tristan Thompson is still in the league?
Yes, he is.
Is he dating another Kardashian? I don't know whatever he was doing. I don't care. But the point that I wanted to bring towards this is that I wanted to lie and say I wasn't intrigued at all because at the end of the day, the NFL ended, so I had to watch something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Did it make it a little bit more intriguing? Yes. Is it still not something I prioritize to watch? Absolutely. I'm watching college basketball right now because I want to see how my Clemson team, I want to see how far they could go this year. What can they actually do? Is any team really going to shine bright above and beyond? Is the SEC that dominant in college basketball?
They look good.
The South Carolina Gamecocks in men's basketball finally got their first conference win. So
we stink. I know.
They're 1-13.
You ain't got to remind me. Somebody reminded me the other day. They said, "You ready?" I said, "Ready for what?" I was at the last year game. You ready for the night? I was like, I'm ready for the night. And then
women's college basketball is better than the NBA right now because Notre Dame was number 1 and decided, we don't want it that much anymore because NC State decided,
it's not better.
It's true. It's more intriguing.
It's more intriguing because you have, you got Juju Watkins and USC, Southern Cal. Then you have Hannah Hidalgo and crew in Notre Dame, and then you got the usual suspects down in South Carolina. You can't never count Flau'jae Johnson and LSU out. Then whatever they got going on in Texas, and then of course you can't forget about the Blue Bloods in UConn. So it's just with women's basketball, you know what you're going to get, but you don't really know what you're going to get.
Right.
And as far as the NBA goes, I tried earlier this year to watch a game. I was like, hey guys, I was watching the Lakers and somebody. Next thing you know, it's 3:00 in the morning and the TV was watching me. I tried. Am I intrigued about this whole, about the trades and everything? Draymond over here talking about I think we could win the championship. Really? Interesting.
I'm gonna make this quick point. I don't mean to interrupt you, Eddie. Cool.
No, go ahead.
This is the biggest point right here. Out of all of the major sports, including Major League Soccer, NBA, Major League Soccer, I have not been able to make it. I have not been able to watch a game in its entirety. I've watched college basketball game in its entirety, NHL a game in its entirety, NFL of course,
Monday Night Raw
game, but that's tough. That's tough.
It's a chore.
That was tough. Oh boy, but I've made it successful watching a full baseball game more than I've been able to sit down and watch a full NBA game. That right there should tell you everything. Give me the highlights. I'll figure it out and I'll go from there. It is really unwatchable.
And the Celtics are going to win it all again anyway. I think we already know that. I think they are.
Cleveland might be on something. I'm just saying. Cleveland might be on something. They got a little combination there that is very, very.
The city's buzzing. The city's buzzing.
Oh yeah, that's
big time up. Yeah,
they're not beating Boston in the playoffs.
Okay, you say that.
I'm watching John Broome. That's who I like watching.
Who?
John Broome from Auburn.
Oh yeah.
That's a bad boy, Broome.
Yeah,
give me that dude sweeping the nation for the Auburn Tigers.
hey, don't mess with him.
I like watching that guy play. Tough, big lefty, man. Tough player.
And if I'm John Broome, I'm calling what's a broom brand? Not Walmart brand. God, it was a broom brand.
Bissell maybe? Does Bissell make brooms or something? I feel like that's a vacuum cleaner.
No, that's a vacuum.
Swiffer. Maybe Swiffer got a broom or something.
They got the squirty broom, but whoever the name escapes me. Whoever the broom company is, you might want to call Janai Broom. And see how we just gave you an idea about sweeping? And make sure we want 0.3% of that check too. But anyways, fellas, looking at
your button hit it?
Because we getting there, man. We just As always, thank you for joining us here at the SportsBros Podcast. Also, a big shout out to our guest last week, Danny Short. We would love to have her back on the podcast again in the near future because she talked about a lot of football, very engaging, very entertaining, and yes, it was. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it.
Do we have a video of that on you? I know we
I'm uploading it. I'll be uploading it today.
Yes,
to YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. And we also have the shorts out now too. So if you get a chance,
it just rendered the full version of her interview, so I'll be posting it on YouTube later on today. Yes, sir.
Excellent.
All right, and if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. It's one of my favorite interviews. I think it went well. With that being said, fellas, looking at my phone because I've yet to fix my watch. Guess what time it is?
What time is it? What's happening?
Your button.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It's time for a double edition of the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. 2 scoops.
A 2-pack.
Yes, a 2-pack. The double. Choice of the voices coming at you right here on the SportsBros Podcast. It's going to be good.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and
ever so lovely
Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. This is our favorite portion of the show. I'm trying to tell you. And there's reasons why. If you don't believe us, just listen to last week's episode and you'll find out why, okay? We ask you the question, we give you the answer. And with that being said, we talk about it right here on the SportsBros Podcast. We got a twofer. We got a twofer this week. All right. So part one of the Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, what's the question?
Funny you should ask me what the question is this week, because last week you didn't ask me.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Kind of let that one slip on by us. But that's okay.
You know what? And through some of our world-class editing, we were able to add it in the podcast.
So in turn, I decided to put two of them out.
Yeah.
This one we were kind of already on topic about, and that was we were talking about the dunk contest last week and how we weren't interested. So we asked, who would you like to see compete in the dunk contest that might draw you back in? Is there anybody, any scenario, any player, pair of competitors, or group of people that you'd say, man, if they would come back and get in the dunk contest, I would make sure I watch that? And what did the people tell us, Eddy Cole?
All right. Will Georgia, he said, Ja Morant.
That's a good start.
Okay.
Too easy.
Yep, too easy.
That's a good start.
Our Hall of Famer Uncle Max, he said, at this point, I really don't give a damn. He don't care.
That's also a good answer.
The general consensus right there. Corey Logren, he said Miles Bridges, though I don't know who could beat Mac McClung. All right.
Who's Miles Bridges play for?
Not the Hornets.
I want to say, or did they move away from him? See, that's how terrible it is.
That's exactly the point. I don't know either. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, he's a named player. Like, I just don't know where he is.
It's Miles and McHale. I don't know which one got moved. Well, anyways, we'll find out. We'll ask our research department, B-Live, find out who got
he's still with the Hornets.
Okay, all right, Miles Bridges. He didn't play when he came up here last year. All right, best name in the game, JoJo Comfort says, can we pitch in for some new needs for Dr. J and talk him into doing it next year?
Okay, so we're going backwards instead of forwards here at this point.
I was cracking when I first read this answer.
I think we can list that don't care as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Big Sean Massagill, he said Ja Morant. That's two for Ja.
Yeah. He is electric when he dunks in a game. Though. That dude is electric.
He is. I just hope he got his pistol packing, gat token thugger on your damn street days behind him. Son, you're making big money.
Yeah, see, that's a problem too. He didn't come off as likable with that whole that little period of time when he was going through that a couple seasons ago.
He is like this. It's before, during, and after. Before, oh my God, Ja Morant. Next thing you know, Pistolgate.
Yeah, he's got to rehab his image a little bit, but he's still a nasty dunker though.
Yeah, he's. I mean, shout out to him because he's been steering clear. You ain't been hearing his name in no mess or nothing like that. So keep on doing that, young man. All right. Matt Ice Martin Tracy said, I stopped watching a long time ago. It just became too gimmicky. It's more like watching circus clown performers. I say bring back regular dunks you can only do in the game. Maybe I'll watch. Yeah, you know.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna make a point to that a little bit later when I reveal my answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't totally disagree with that.
Not too mad at that.
Like it's one of those things where, yes, you want to see something new, but to what end?
Yeah.
Like sometimes just being able to complete the dunk, is something else. So I mean, like I said, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later too.
Was that fifth attempt of the same dunk is like, oh, all right, yeah,
of the one that you created in your mama's backyard.
Yeah,
come on, like yes, that's almost impossible if you pull it off. Yeah, but by the 6th, 7th time, maybe you should have thought this through a little bit more.
Yeah, you might want to do that, player. All right. Tony Bogan, TB, he says Mac McClung, Aaron Gordon, Ja Morant, all three need to compete.
All right, so Aaron Gordon did compete and won it a couple times, right? Didn't he win it like back to back a few years ago?
Was that Zach LaVine?
One of them. Okay, see.
One of them light-skinned brothers. I don't know.
So Zach LaVine won it over Aaron Gordon.
Okay.
And people still think that Aaron Gordon should have won.
It.
Right.
So I'm going to throw that out there as bringing back a little bit of nostalgia. I think a lot of people still would like to see Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine go at it again. Because that dunk contest was must see.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Craig Burns. I like this answer. He says Spud Webb. I don't think Spud's doing any jumping anytime soon. Have you seen it?
No.
We're going to chalk that one up. Don't care.
Yeah. All right, AD series. He says Mac McClung dunk contest doesn't need saving. It needs the superstars to participate. Too many of them complain about my knees and my hammies.
I don't think there's
kind of what we're talking about, though.
I don't think there's been one time that anybody's gotten injured during the All-Star game, or the dunk contest, or that the dunk contest or the All-Star game led to them getting injured later on because of that. God knows, incredible load of. You know what? I'm just before I cuss, because that put so much workload on them during all. Yeah, whatever.
Tom Wynn, winner with a chicken dinner. He says, if the game was any good, you probably wouldn't need the stupid dunk contest. It's part of the festivities, Tom. Don't be that guy.
So every
they used to both be worth watching. You used to like both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every major sport has other things besides the All-Star game. Major League Baseball has the home run derby that probably gets watched more than the game.
And hockey has a penalty box, which Tom Wynn's going in for that answer.
There it is.
Scottie D, what does the barber say?
Next.
All right, so shout out to everybody participating in part 1 of Choices of the Voices. What say you, fellas? Dunk contest. Who need to be in it, and who really needs to save this? Sinking ship.
If Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon went at it again, I don't think that coaxes me into getting the remote out and changing it over. I just, that doesn't excite me. I think I'd got to have Ja Morant and Anthony, Ant-Man. I got to have Ant-Man because I think those are more star caliber people. And LeBron, I would watch it if LeBron was in it. As much as I'm not like a LeBron fan, the fact that he's never done it and every other face of the league superstar has done it, Michael Jordan, Kobe, the battles with Dominique and Clyde to Glide, that was like legendary stuff. Spud Webb winning it over some of the best dunkers. All these other guys have been Vince Carter. Oh man, these guys were great players, and now we're watching a guy win it who's not in the league. Yep. So if LeBron James, who's never participated, would say, you know what, I want to do that before I retire, and I would watch him be in the dunk contest. I would want to just the intrigue would make me want to watch it. But I would watch LeBron. I would watch Ja Morant, Ant-Man. I think those would do it for me. I think that's what would get me into it. I don't care about Aaron Gordon and Mac McClung or whatever, Mac McClain, McClung, whoever he is. I don't care about that. Good for him for winning it, but I don't care about that dude. Be Live. What about you?
Scottie D, I want you to pay attention to me real quick. I want you right here with me. Get the hell out of my notes. I mean, get out of my notes immediately, because you just spit out a carbon copy of my notes. Ja Morant, Ant-Man, and LeBron James.
Wow. Well, there you go.
LeBron James, and I'm going to say this. It was a ritual of passage. And you mentioned Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant did it his rookie year. And I feel like LeBron James had an obligation to the league, an obligation to the greats that came before him to participate at an early age. Now, where he's at right now, he has that obligation to give us something so that the rest of the stars of the NBA be like, hey, LeBron did it one time, so should I. Yeah, it should go back to where it's all-stars. It used to be like you were voted as an all-star, and then out of those people that were picked, did stuff like that. Now it's literally 4 guys that don't even start on the NBA team. And again, like you said, Matt McClung's not even on the NBA roster. He's on a G League roster. Come on. And hats off to him for winning 3 times in a row. But yes, the NBA, once again, needs to show that they care. The players need to show that they care. LeBron James, it's not going to hurt you, and you really do actually owe it to the league. You don't owe much, but that one I think you do owe to the league. Set the precedent so that players return and do it at least one time.
So why do you think he never did? Why do you think? Do you think he's just like afraid to lose or make a fool of himself, or afraid to look back? I mean, why wouldn't he? Remember the one year he said, "I'm going to be in this next year." He was sitting at courtside, said, "I'm going to be in this next year," and he never followed through that. Why do you think that is?
I don't want to hope he. I don't.
Let me put it this way. I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where, for someone that was, and here's the thing, I don't want to take away from his legacy and how great he has been and all of the records and accolades that LeBron James has brought to the sport. He's done an incredible amount for the sport, for his community, et cetera, et cetera. But there are certain things that he was literally gifted. He was gifted that physique coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. He was handed the keys to a kingdom. The dude literally could do no wrong when he came in. So certain things came second nature to him. Certain things, when it came to the legacy of the sport, didn't, because he was gifted with certain things. Now, when he came with the number change, and at one time he emulated Michael Jordan 23, then he switched to 6, and blah blah, and all the other things. Yeah, he wanted to be the best ever. I don't know all that other stuff. There's certain things that he's missing from that. The dunk contest, how be it as what I mean, what's a good word to say for it? It doesn't hold much when it comes to someone's legacy, but when it comes to the nature of the sport, a lot of your superstars don't participate in it because he didn't.
That's a good call.
He didn't think much of it. So guess what? A lot of players did emulate. He was that leader in the locker room. A lot of players emulated his style. Mm-hmm. He was the blueprint. He was the poster child of the NBA, the face of the league. And when he said he doesn't hold the dunk contest in regard, guess what? A lot of players follow suit. Now that's where you get what you have right now. LeBron James, do it one time, I guarantee you.
One time for the one time. One time for the one time.
Just give me something from back here where you still could do it.
He doesn't have to jump over a car or create a skit. Just go out there and power dunk it. Remember, Michael Jordan said he used to make it up in the air. He'd jump it and decide what he was going to do once he got airborne.
Yeah, he doesn't really have to put that much effort because he is the guy that he is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Eddie, what about you, buddy? Who's your answer?
Had a wild idea. Ant-Man versus Ja Morant. Gordon versus Levine. McClung versus LeBron James. The winners advance. Then you
triple threat.
Yes, a triple threat match. Yes, it works in wrestling, and then it's going to work in basketball. And then you have 1, 2, 3, they dunk it out. And then you have, wait a minute. Well, 1, 2, 3 can dunk it out. Okay, yes, 1, 2, 3 can dunk it out.
The winners of the two,
yeah. And then the third one, if his score sucks, he's gone, and then you have a final dunk off, and then you crown your champion. You got to make it tournament style.
Okay, I could deal with that. I would watch that.
Yeah, you got to make it tournament style. It's just, okay, well, you're gonna go up and you're gonna dunk. You're gonna go up, you're gonna dunk. Nah, you got to out dunk him. You got to out dunk him, and you got to out dunk him. It's all about like we said, the 4-letter word that means so much, but we see it so little in the NBA. Care. You have to give us something to care about. If you're giving us the 8 seed versus the 1 seed, the 4 seed versus the 5 seed, do the same thing. Do the same thing with the dunk contest. Make us give a damn. Make us give a damn and make us care. Yeah. So,
in other words, we need the stars.
Yeah.
We need the all-stars during All-Star Weekend in the dunk contest.
And you mentioned they miss a bunch. So I would say here that would take it a step further. If you miss, you have to take your shirt off and lay down on hot coals, and they can have those hot coals set right up there on court side. 10 seconds of hot coal, so it'll keep you from missing. Nobody wants to lay on hot coals.
And Scottie D, you can't forget the most important element out of all this:
swords.
Yeah.
Medieval torture during the NBA All-Star Weekend. That will drive up viewership.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, look, it worked back then. They cared about it and they watched it. They didn't even have pay-per-view. Damn it, some things got to come back full circle and make us give a damn.
That's right.
Once again, part 2 of the choices of the voices. Scottie D, what's the question on that one?
Okay, so this is a topic that goes around my turf a lot. But next season, who do you think will be and should be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Eddie, cool. We have some answers for this one.
Let's see what these Yinzers said, all right? The best name in the game, JoJo Comfort. He says Fields and Wilson are definitely not the long-term answers. Russ is no spring chicken, and under current staff, Fields won't develop into a franchise quarterback. Constantly winning seasons won't put them in the position to draft the quarterback of the future, so they'll continue to wallow in limbo. All this said, I believe they'll make the decision to let Russ go and keep Fields, who will perpetuate their growing list of mediocre at best quarterbacks for the near future. And then he says, I wonder what good old Bubby Brister is doing these days. Oh, Bubby.
Interesting take. He's saying Fields will they'll probably stick with Fields and they'll stay mediocre and won't get the top draft pick. All right.
Middling. Brad Thomas, he says, I feel they'll make a run at Sam Darnold, but I don't know their money situation. Fields over Russ, but can Fields really be a long-term answer for a team? Oh, no.
Sam Darnold's an interesting situation. Let's put this in our top of the order next week for the topic. Where do we think these guys are going to end up? Aaron Rodgers is going to be without a team. Darnold's. Let's try. We'll mix this up next week.
Yeah. Write that down so we won't forget it, because we're gonna need some stuff to talk about, y'all. We're gonna need some stuff to talk about. All right, good one, Scott. Tom Wynn, he says, I think it will be Wilson, but I like the Danny Dimes pickup. If you would please send Fields to me in Cleveland. I would take Danny Dimes in Cleveland right now. No, you don't. You don't want him. You thought it was bad.
He just said he wants us to send Fields to him in Cleveland. And he says he would take Dimes in Cleveland. So I guess he'd like either of those guys.
Yeah, I would take Justin Fields over Danny Dimes. I'm just saying.
Somebody run over the penalty box and ask Tom Wynn what he meant by those comments.
Yeah, because I'm confusion. Mark, don't call me Cherry Grove. He says gotta re-sign Fields ASAP. Rodgers will just create more problems for you on the field, and I don't think him and GP will get along. George Pickens. And Daniel Dimes is a big no. If they sign DJ, it's the ultimate sign of tanking. Yeah, so he says they got to resign Justin Fields. My man Jacob, what's up, Jacob? He says, not a Steelers fan, but I would be beyond happy if they sign Daniel Jones. I think they resign Fields and draft someone like Will Howard. Okay, quarterback from Ohio State.
That's a possibility.
Yep. Corey Logren says, Big Drew Alar from right here in Medina, Ohio, was lighting up in high school at Medina.
That's the Penn State quarterback, though, I think, right? And I think he's coming back to Penn State next year. I don't think he's going into the draft.
Yeah, he coming back. And Randy Martin says, get another solid receiver, invest in an O-line through free agency and draft, and just let Justin get a 1-year chance. So he says a 1-year flyer on Justin Fields. So, all right, so shout out to JoJo Comfort, Brad Thomas, Tom Wynn, Mark, don't call me Cherry Grove, Jacob Kuhn, Corey Logren, and Randy Martin for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. I'm going to go first, all right?
So let's see what you got.
Aaron Rodgers, hell no. I think hell no. Scottie D, you think they're cussing now in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I don't think he's coming here.
Yeah.
Although George Pickens told a podcast that if they had Aaron Rodgers, it'd be his best friend, best quarterback he's ever had. He would welcome that. But Pickens is trouble.
Tomlin not having that.
No, I don't think so either.
Tomlin's not having Aaron Rodgers. Hell no.
They not having that. Similar to New England, Pittsburgh runs a tight ship. They run a tight ship. And those organizations that run a tight ship, they're only going to allow so much. And they're not going to allow Ashwagandha and Max Kowalska and Hashkabishka and all this other mess to go on. Appearances on the Pat McAfee show, they're not going to allow that. They ain't got time for that. I'm from South Carolina, living in Cleveland, and I know that is not how the black and yellow rolls. I'd say, you know what, just go ahead and take a 1-year flyer. I like Randy Martin's answer. Get another solid receiver, invest in the O-line through free agency and draft, and let Justin Fields get a 1-year flyer and see what you got from there. You got 365 days, son, to give me what you got.
I see the flaw in that thinking, though. I think Fields is going to want more than just a 1-year deal. I don't think he's going to want to settle for a 1-year deal.
He's going to want long term.
Yeah, I think so.
Sam Darnold, I don't know. Are we going to get the first few weeks, the good portion of the season, Sam Darnold, or are we going to get ghost at MetLife Sam Darnold? I don't know what we're going to get. So, yeah. Stick with Justin Fields and just let him learn the playbook and just you got to cater to his skill set. You have to do that. I mean, because they were like what 4-1 and then they pulled him.
4-2, yep, and they pulled him.
I mean, you lost 2 games. It wasn't a bad start. It wasn't a bad sample size. I mean, they didn't blow the world away. I mean, of course, Pittsburgh still has that stellar defense. That running game, they got to do some with Najee Harris, man, because sometimes he's just 2 yards in a cloud of dust. But yeah, Justin Fields. What say you, Scottie D?
My gut tells me I think that's the route that they're going to go, just because they're going to now have him on a second year with the same offensive coordinator, whereas last year he came in and was learning a new system. They pretty much told Russell Wilson, "You're going to come in and be our starter," and Fields handled it very well. He didn't cause a fuss. He even went in and played some running plays, and he was a good soldier. But I don't think he's that good. I just don't, or else they wouldn't have taken him out with a 4-2 record. And if you remember, Russell Wilson played pretty well over the next few weeks because the Steelers, what were they, 10-4, and then finished 10-7 and lost 5 in a row.
Oh, tank! Yep.
Going into the playoffs, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, however that was, they finished. It was a bad finish. So I think because of that, I don't know that they would want to go back to that aging quarterback again, the same guy, and do the same thing that had bad results towards the end. I know that Tomlin likes a quarterback. He's been on record of saying he likes a quarterback with mobility. And you just watch Jalen Hurts play a really good game and win the Super Bowl, and Fields is kind of in that mold, although I just don't think he's as good a passer as Jalen Hurts. It's not like he's another version of him. I just think he's not as good, but plays a similar style. If you're the Steelers, though, what I think they should do is to try to find a guy like Carr or Cousins, who they wouldn't have to pick up the entire salary, see if they can play for a year there. And if they're not good, which we know they're not going to be that good anyway, because good quarterbacks aren't growing on trees, then look to the draft next year, because I think this is not a great quarterback draft coming up this year. So that tank for Manning or whatever I've already heard people say, although we don't even know if Manning's going to be any good because he's played like 2 halves of football or something like that. But what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be Justin Fields on opening day. Be live.
I'm in agreement. I don't think, here's the thing with me now. I don't think Pittsburgh Steelers need to look outside for anybody. Because I think at the end of the day, I think Justin Fields earned it. And nobody's given this dude a fair shake. He's not been in a good situation, period. Matt Eberflus ruined this dude. The Chicago organization is terrible. Give this man a fair shake. Give him 17 games as a starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Give him a budget-friendly 3-year contract. And hit free agency for them other pieces. O-line, like there's pieces that the Steelers could do. Here's the thing. I don't think Fields is a bad quarterback. I just think he hasn't been given a fair shake. And
Maybe you could be right.
While sitting behind Russell Wilson, you don't think he's been with the clipboard and learning some things? Like, he was thrown into the mix before Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson was hurt. So that 4-2 was on Justin Fields. And when Russell Wilson got healthy, that's when Russell Wilson took over the reins. It wasn't because Justin Fields was doing bad. Russell Wilson was the better of the two quarterbacks per se, but I would have went with veteran leadership at that point in time. But Justin Fields needs a fair shake. Let that man steer the offense. And here's the thing, what's the worst that could happen? If he sucks, then you get that high draft pick next year. If he doesn't, you might have the quarterback of the future.
Maybe, but Tomlin's never had a losing record, so that's important to the Steelers to stay over 500. They're not going to tank.
Do you want to win a Super Bowl or do you not? You could be good. You know what? I'm going to tell you what this reminds me of so much. This reminds me of all those San Diego Charger teams that were good, that were great, that were good, that were great. And then next thing you know, the window slammed shut on them. And at this point, I think with Pittsburgh, you probably got about yay much window left.
I think the window's closed. I think they have
but that's the thing about it. That window that you're talking about right there is closed.
Yeah, they have to open a new window.
And the answer is not in any of the quarterbacks that exist right now. So I'm telling you, sick of Justin Fields. He's earned that right.
Yeah,
he wasn't that bad. Here's the thing. Let him be a manager of the team. Don't put the onus on him. Let's put some pieces around him.
And all that stuff you're saying is why I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, like that's the thing about it is that please don't mortgage your future this year because it probably is not going to happen. Just the way things are structured right now, there is not a clear-cut quarterback that's going to lead the Steelers into glory this coming season. Justin Fields should be your answer. Justin Fields should be give him this year, and again, where the pieces fall, let the pieces fall right there. Then going into the next season what y'all need to do. The answer isn't this year. I can tell you that much.
I think what's going to happen is, hey, defense, you're going to keep us in a lot of games next year. Justin, don't F this up. I think that's what it's going to be.
Pretty much, I think so.
Yep. Scottie D, what's on tap for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, next week we're going to ask to think of your favorite pro team and your favorite college team and which one fires you up more. Which are you more passionate about? Your team going to the college football championship or the Super Bowl? Your team going to the NBA finals or to the March Madness championship game? What fires you up more? Your favorite college team or your favorite pro team? We're going to compare passion for the fans, and that'll give us something to talk about next week. And by the way, Eddie, cool. Thanks for asking.
Yes. And somebody say something about getting fired up. Tommy Richfield, wrestling fans out there. Be live. Grab that pepper grinder. It's time for a round of pepper coming at you right here on the SportsBros Podcast.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
You heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. The 4 E's in no particular order. Almost jacked up a gimmick. With that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1924, damn near 101 years ago, Marie Boyd scored 156 points in a Maryland high school basketball game. Anybody want to guess what the final score was?
What was the score?
Her team 163, the other team 3 points. Over to you, Scottie D.
Oh, that's awful. Wow.
Ugh.
So I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, I was going to say, do some goodbyes. And I want to start by saying goodbye, rest in peace to Mike Lang, a legend here in Pittsburgh, 46 years, called Pittsburgh Penguins games. And he passed away last Thursday. He would start every Penguin broadcast by saying it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. And he would end every Penguins win by saying Elvis has just left the building. And in between, he was known for colorful catchphrases after every Penguin goal. And he called 5 Stanley Cups, and he called Mario Lemieux's 5 goals 5 different ways. And he was the soundtrack to the Penguins winning the Stanley Cups. I get goosebumps when I think about him. Rest in peace, Mike Lang. You are a Pittsburgh legend. Be live to you.
Is he the one to say he beat the goalie like a rented mule?
Yes.
Yes.
Scratch my
Yes.
back with a hacksaw. He would say all those fun
That's my man.
catchphrases. Yeah.
He is a legend, not
Oh, my
only
God,
in Pittsburgh, but yeah, he is a legend for sure. First Pepper Point is by way of Oklahoma City Thunder superstar SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's having an MVP level season this year, and he is up for one of the richest contract extensions that has ever happened, of course, because the money just keeps rolling in. They're saying upwards to $300 million supermax, upwards almost $75 million a year. With that being said, he's going to try to get that contract without an agent. He said his agent, bye-bye, I'm not dealing with you no more.
Goodbye.
And he will now represent himself. Sources confirmed to ESPN. SGA said he's going to get all the money. He's not paying 10% to an agent. He wants it all for himself. Eddy cool. Double all.
Can't go wrong with that. On this day in history, back in 1933, some 90 plus years ago, a major NFL rule changes. There are hash marks of 10 yards and goalposts on the goal line. Instead of just running around on a big dirt field, it's like, hey, we're going to spot the ball here. You're going to kick the ball there.
Yeah.
Intervention in the game of football back in 1933. Over to you, Scottie D.
Another goodbye to Zack Martin, 34-year-old Dallas Cowboy lineman, retired after 11 seasons. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro First Team. He's headed to the Hall of Fame. And one of the more famous things, vivid, good memories I have of him is that he was chosen in the draft on draft night instead of Johnny Football. One of the few smart decisions Jerry Jones made. He drafted a Hall of Famer instead of a league washout in Johnny Football. Zack Martin, thank you for your service, sir. Be live. Over to you.
My second Pepper Point coming in hot with it. It is official as college football schedules roll out. Mark your calendars. November 1st, you're going to see Delaware State versus Norfolk State. November 1st, HBCU versus HBCU. There are talks of that game being held at the link where the Philadelphia Eagles play. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the head coach of Delaware State is none other than Deshaun Jackson, and the head coach of Norfolk State is none other than Michael Vick.
Wow.
Would you love to see that at the
Wow.
link? Mark your calendar. HBCU stand up November 1st. I would love to see it. Eddy cool. The ball.
Yeah, I won't be working that day or that night or whenever it is.
Ooh, that's
all right.
hot, bro.
Yeah,
Tell you I need to have that.
That is on this day in history. Back in 1991, businessman Bruce McNall, hockey legend Wayne Gretzky, and the legendary John Candy, they buy the CFL's Toronto Argonauts. So you got a businessman, a comedian, and one of the greats chipping in on the Argos. Let's go double blue. Over to you, Scottie D.
One last goodbye. Goodbye to the song New York, New York by Frank Sinatra being played at the end of Yankees losses, only wins. And goodbye to the no facial hair rule of the Yankees. Now you can have a neatly trimmed beard and mustache. Just can't get too shaggy and can't have long hair. Be live. Take us home.
Aaron just said, I'm going to keep it clean shaven.
Yeah.
Third and final Pepper Point. don't lose at fantasy football. Just don't lose, because there's all types of different punishments out there. Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Chris Bassett found that out the hard way because he lost his fantasy football league, which was an inter-team league. He had to be the bat boy for a spring game and had to wear a personalized jersey that had his 4-10 record on the back of his jersey. So it said Bassett 4-10. Don't lose a fantasy football. Just don't. I got a tattoo on my
did you get a
arm.
tat? Yeah.
No, he got a whole tattoo.
Just don't lose a fantasy football. God almighty. Whew. Embarrassing. Yep.
I lost and I still got a belt in my closet. And didn't Tommy Pham and somebody get into a fight one year about something like that, about losing fantasy football?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. Sure of it.
Yep. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it. Now, more than ever, whatever you do, be a blessing, not a burden. This is the Sports Bros Podcast. Be live. You know what to do.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building.
And I'm out.
And we're out. Bye, y'all. Hey, it's Eddy Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening. And as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.